On this episode of the Meta Report, we are going to be talking about the 4 most valuable supports in the current patch. These are the heroes that the pros are picking every chance they get. These are the ones that are going to allow you to carry pubs as a support player. So the list is Grimstroke, Winter Wyvern, Warlock, and an honorable mention to Ancient Apparition. So let's get right into it. Why is Grimstroke one of the best heroes in Dota after being released, being incredibly broken, and then being progressively nerfed in almost every patch since? Not only is the ultimate incredibly useful because of its doubling ability, it is also a very powerful slow mechanic that pierces BKB and applies a leash, which means that you can actually leash 2 BKB targets, and those targets could be something like an Ember Spirit and a Storm, completely removing their mobility. Grimstroke is a strong laner. He snowballs, he helps other heroes snowball with kills in the laning stage. Grimstroke has very, very good wave clear mechanics with his Stroke of Fate. So he's able to push waves, he's able to take advantage of getting farm. And this allows him to build a wide variety of items, whatever his team may need. Now, to help him get to those items, Grimstroke also has a level 10 GPM talent, which is something that has been incredibly important ever since they started nerfing the amount of gold on the map. And all of these factors combine to make Grimstroke a hero that scales very well from the laning stage through the end of the game. And that is what you want as a support, because you're not always going to have a good game. You're not always going to get out to a good start. You're not always going to have your team snowballing the game for you. So you need to be able to have impact no matter what is going on with the other 4 heroes on your team. Hero number 2, and this is probably the most popular support right now, is Warlock. And Warlock just got some nerfs, and even with these nerfs, I think it's still too good. However, you probably will feel the reduction in damage just because it used to allow you to essentially solo kill an entire team, but now you'll have to actually combo it with a decent AoE nuke. A Zeus, for example, is really, really good with Warlock because of that spill damage from Fatal Bonds. The number one reason why Warlock has been getting picked is just that Fatal Bonds is incredible. Also, the meta is starting to kind of shift a little bit towards sustain lanes being popular, and Warlock is one of the best sustain laners in all of Dota. Another thing that makes Warlock such a good hub support is that he can carry games by himself in the late game. And this is enabled by his ridiculous 60% experience talent. I don't know why he has a 60% experience talent. There's no other hero that comes even close to that. But basically, if you get to level 15, you are going to get to level 20 and 25. And Warlock's level 20 and 25 talents are ridiculous because it makes his golems just nearly unkillable. And golems are, I think, probably underrated. The amount of damage that they do and the ability to siege buildings with golems is actually quite incredible. And the fact that generally, if you're getting towards those later stages of the game, you're probably going to have either an Ags or a Refresher, means that you're probably going to be looking at somewhere between 2 and 4 golems coming out in every single fight, maybe even more. And that's just usually too much for other people to deal with, especially when you include the fact that those are all doing Fatal Bond spill damage. BKBs will be getting lower at that point, and part of their duration will be wasted by the stuns from your golem. So this hero counters BKBs. You can pretty much build any items on him because he's almost entirely based around his spells. All you need is a little bit of survivability and you're going to be just fine. And his gameplay is quite simple. You hide around your cores, avoid getting gone on, you play very far back, and then once the fight starts, you come in, counter initiate, and essentially just win it for your team by pressing your Fatal Bonds and your Golem. Hero number 3, Winter Wyvern. Wyvern has one of the best D-pushing spells in the entire game in Splinter Blast. And the reason that this ability is so good is that it automatically kills the range creep at level 4. So all you have to do is just kind of sit in the trees, you throw out a Splinter Blast. All the melee creeps are at half health except for the one that you targeted, and the range creep dies, which means that the lane's going to push. And this means that you can get a ton of farm on this hero while delaying the game for your team. Again, Winter Wyvern is a hero that can have a lot of impact in the game with nearly any items. Also, you can just fly into the trees. You have unobstructed pathing on a very short cooldown with your Arctic Burn, and this allows you to be a very elusive position 5 support, which is incredibly important because most 5s have strong spells, but often are gone on by the other team at the beginning of fights because they don't have an escape mechanism. And then, of course, has one of the best counter-initiating spells in all of Dota in Winter's Curse, which can also be used as just an incredibly long BKB piercing lockdown spell. So once again, we have the factors of being a good early game hero, and you're able to start to scale into the late game with your level 10 GPM talent. In the late game, you counter BKB. You have the ability to freely get wards nearly anywhere on the map, and you can be an incredible counter initiator that counters their best hero or turns it against their entire team. So we're starting to see some themes, right? You've got the GPM talent, you got the ability to pierce BKB, you got the ability to buy whatever items your team needs and still have impact because of how good your spells are, and we have the ability to scale from the early game into the late game very, very well. And the final hero that we're going to look at in this video is Ancient Apparition. He is a very good laner because he harasses incredibly well as a 5. He has incredibly long attack range, which means that it's able to spam out damage without aggroing creeps. You're able to out-trade most other supports in the lane, out-trade offlaners, and then he provides a couple of other really unique mechanics that I think are super strong right now. Number one is healing removal. I think that healing removal is an inherently broken mechanic, and IceFrog seems to agree considering that he's been nerfing Spirit Vessel's regen reduction in the last few patches, and Ancient Apparition completely removes it. So Alchemist ult doesn't work. Morphling, dead. Lifestealer, way worse. Monkey King, Jingu, doesn't work. If you have an AA, you're able to just completely nullify what makes a good portion of incredibly annoying heroes strong. So in addition to the healing removal, you also have the ability to provide your team with a free Veil of Discord, or an upgraded Veil for that matter, with Ice Vortex. And Veil is probably an underrated item. There's a lot of magic burst damage that is being done right now. Heroes like Ember Spirit are popular. Heroes like Morphling are popular. Zeus is definitely very good. Leshrac, Sand King, Warlock. These are all heroes that are being played a lot right now. And if you can amp their damage by 30%, you make these heroes feel like they are just way overpowered. And then, of course, he has global participation. So that means that you can be depushing a lane and still contribute a large amount of damage, and of course the healing removal to a fight somewhere else on the map. Ancient Apparition is great at defending Roche. Roche is an incredibly important objective. And really, if you can just hit your Ice Blast on 2 or 3 heroes in a fight around Roche, you usually win the fight. AA is also another one of those heroes that you can build basically any items on and have impact because of how good his spells are. Ultimately, all you have to do is just hit people with Ice Blast. You don't need the duration to be 40 seconds long. You just need it to be 2 seconds long so that the hero that you're trying to burst doesn't regen through that burst. Finally, he has a level 10 GPM talent, which means that you can play him as a very, very sacrificial 5 and still have enough gold to get some important items. You can even buy stuff like Medallion or Vlad's, depending on what your team needs. And like I said, because his spells are so strong, because all you really have to do is just be around the fights to have a huge amount of impact, you're going to be just fine. So those are the 4 supports that I think that everybody should be playing right now if you are forced to play support in pubs, or if you actively choose to play support in pubs as well. Let me know what your go-to support is in the current patch, and we will see you on the next episode of the Meta Report. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching the video. We genuinely appreciate your time and attention spent with us here on the YouTube channel.